Okay, I don't think there was any question. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to pull out my editor here. So I'm using Notepad++. You could use any editor or any IDE you want. Okay, so I'm not going to require you to use any specific IDE or editor. You have taken two. I'm trying to increase the font size. Um, Okay, so you could use any editor or IDE, and the code I give you will work with any IDE. Okay, all right. So okay, so this is again a review of C++ coding. I'll try to go through a certain level of detail, but don't think that I'm rushing through because you should have seen such code in your earlier classes. Okay. We are not yet into data structures, just reviewing C++. So you should include some header files for your code. So to do input output or to do something from the library. In this case, I'm using generating some random numbers. So I'm including the stdlib.header file and time.h header file to generate random numbers. Okay, and then using namespace std, standard thing. All right. Now let us start with the main function. So I'm trying to create an array and do some manipulations with the array. So I need to get the array size as input from the user. So int main is the syntax we'll be following, and since I'm saying int main, once you type int main as a good programming practice, you should right away say int main and then put the curly braces like this and say return 0. So if you're not into this kind of habit, try to get into this habit so that you don't forget to put that, and then you type all your code in between. Okay, all right. So what I'm doing here, I'm getting the array size as input from the user. So this is how you do it: declare array size as an integer and ask the user to enter the array size as a print statement, and then cin is really the input statement. I'm sure I'll be familiar with the arrows, direction, and so on. Now I also want to specify what is the range of the values I want to create in the array. So I ask the user what is the maximum value you want to have for an element in the array, and capture that using the max value variable. And then this is statement we already saw, and this is a critical statement. I'm creating the array, or I'm creating a block basically. So this new int array size, as we just saw, is going to create the block. Okay, so still the elements are not yet populated. It's just a block of memory locations that can store integers. So if you're interested in trying to find out what are the values of the elements in that block, it will all be zeros when you just do an initialization like that. Now I'll take it back. It will be typically zeros. That's how operating systems do when they allocate a block of integers like this. Integer default value is 0, but depends sometimes on what compiler and stuff like that you use. It could have some junk values in the memory also, but we have not yet generated the random numbers and assigned the value. So right after the statement, if you try to print the contents of the array, it will be typically 0, but it could also have some junk values. Now we saw the significance of this on the left hand side. So array is a pointer. It stores the base address of the block. Okay, so now this is a statement where I am kind of initializing my random number generator and kind of starting it up. Now srand is a built-in function in the stdlib.h header file to kind of start the random number generator, and this is like a constructor for the srand, kind of like an object. So it takes up a value It's not an object, so it's not it's a function. It's a function that takes a parameter, and time of null is going to return the current system time. So when I say time of null, time is also a function, and null is a parameter to the function. So time of null will return the current system time. So that is the argument for this srand function. So I'm sorry, I said an object. So srand is a function. So the argument for this function srand is the system time. Now, if you have worked with random number generators, why I pass the current system time as the argument of the function? Because there's something called a seed for a random number generator. So, random number generator generates a sequence of random numbers. Now, the sequence of random numbers that you generate depends on what seed we use. So instead of this, if I say srand of, so this is like my editor I'm trying to use to show things. So if I say srand of 400 and then generate random numbers, it will generate some random numbers, 34, say 56, 12, and so on, like that, within a certain range depending on the max value. So the first time you run the program, you will get this random numbers. The second time you run this program, you will get the same random numbers. The third time you run it, also you get the same random numbers. Why is that? Because you used a kind of hard-coded seed, 400, as part of your code. Now, if I use, say, 100 as my seed, I may get a different sequence of random numbers, like 23, 43, and so on. But again, it's hard coded. So if I run the program again, this is also going to generate the same sequence of random numbers. So that's why, as a good programming practice, you should not hard code your seed for random number generator. You should always, when you run the program, each time you run the program, you should run the random number generator with a different seed. And that's why I use the system time as a seed, because the system time keeps changing. Different times you run the program, each time you run the program, the system time will be different. I think the time is fetched in milliseconds or probably nanoseconds, I'm not sure. So each time you run the program, it's going to be different. So that's why each time you run the program, you're going to get different sequence of random numbers. Okay, so that's the idea behind this srand statement with time of null as the argument. Alright, so now you have a for loop that runs from I equals 0 to array I less than array size. This should be also familiar. So I'm going to fill up the elements in the array starting from index 0 to array size -1 and -1. So rand off is another function that's part of the stdlib.h file. So since you have started the random number generator, this function could be used. Rand off function could be used. Now the rand off function is going to return some value from 0 to a very large integer value. Okay, there is a maximum value possible. Now we don't want to generate an array of such a large value with elements value being such large values. We want to have as a range. So let us say I want to generate the values in the range of, say, 1 to 100. So then this max value is going to be the 100 that I am passing. Okay. Now again, if you analyze what this statement does, let us look at this first. Rand off, and then this is the mod operator, max value. So mod gives you the remainder of a division. Okay. So if, let us say, the rand function generates, say, 4, 5, 6, 7 as the value. When I say rand mod 100, I'm going to get 4, 5, 6, 7 mod 100. So that means when 4, 5, 6, 7 is divided by 100, what is the remainder? That's what I'm going to find out. And the answer is 67. Right? So that's the value of rand mod, that max value. Now I'm adding 1 plus to that. So 1 plus rand of max value means, in this case, it's going to be 67 plus 168. So that means I said the rand function could generate anything from 0 to a very large value. Okay, so um, so the rand function could have generated 0, and when I say 0 mod 100, the answer is 0. But when I say 1 plus 0 mod 100, it's going to be 1. So 0 is my lowest possible random number that I'll generate. But since I'm saying 1 plus this rand mod max value, the lowest possible random number I could generate according to this logic is 1, and the largest value will be what? Because max value is 100. Now think about this. If my random number is 4599, and when I say mod 100, the remainder is 99. The next random number could be like 4600, and the remainder is 0. So when you divide anything by, in this case, say 100, the remainders can be anywhere from 0 to 99. The remainder cannot be 100. Okay, so in general, when I divide some value by, say, n, the remainder will be in the range of 0 to n minus 1. So this is something you should know. So that means if I generate a value and divide it by, say, 567, this is my divisor. The remainder of this division will be anywhere from 0 to 566. The remainder cannot be that divisor itself, 567. This is something you should know. So that is why I want to generate elements from 1 to 100. But the remainder could be at most 99. So that's why I'm adding 1 plus. So this 1 plus serves both purposes. So I want to generate from 1 to 100. So the second part can be up to only max value minus 1. As we saw here, it could be up to 100 minus 1. So that's why I'm adding 1 to it, so that my integers fall in the range 1 to 100. Okay, so, and I'm populating them to the array. Okay, let me stop and see if there are any questions. Since the random number generator can be forced to output the same numbers each time, the game it would be possible to generate new seeds. You're pretty much telling the same thing what I'm doing here. So you are generating a new seed, store it in a variable, then use that through a load operation to create something. Now, do you want to store that variable as part of a program or in a separate file and then load that file? If you are doing it the second way, you are not really generating a new seed through a file, right? Because some value in the file will be loaded every time. So you have to generate that seed as part of a program, and that's what the time of null does. Each time you run the program, you could store this time of null in a variable and then pass srand of that variable if that's what you want to do, and it's the same thing. Okay, let me check the time. Okay, so you're almost time. So this is what I want to really explain with arrays. So next time we'll try to go through this function, and we'll go with object-oriented programming with arrays. Okay, all right. Okay, so we'll stop with this. You could stay. We are done with the lecture, but I'll just take the attendance. Stay logged in, so I'll quickly take the attendance, and then you can log out. Baker, Maggie. So if I have entered your name with an X here, you can log out if you want to. Austin, let me stop. Okay, Brandon Willis. tomato, Maggi, okay, Stanley Harris was there last time. Okay. Um, okay, so Bell, Zibin. Okay, so from September 1st, this will be quick because the TA will be noting down the attendance as we go through the lectures. So we will not take up this time. So please bear for the next week. This Davis, okay, Brown, Mark Cole, okay, no, Martin, okay, Chippett, William. Okay, I think we're done. Okay, all right. So I've noted down the attendance. Okay, all right. Thank you. So please go through everything you have seen, and we'll meet next Tuesday.